But really, I want to be known. Sure, I'll be known as the guy who wrote whatever, but I want to be known as the guy who built a big team and helped a lot of his agents find their success.
Thank you for joining us on our Family First Life Tri-State Serve the People podcast. We appreciate you tuning in, spending your time to develop and grow with us. Follow us, please, on all our social media platforms at Family First Life Tri-State or FFL Tri-State. We love you. Keep listening, and I hope this information is serving you across the country.
All right, everybody, thank you for jumping on with us for our Tri-State Training Day podcast. We are fresh off of annual convention, and I got my man Steve Giordano in the booth with me today, the #1 agent in all of the land, 3 years in a row. I think I saw hashtags on social media, Steve, that said 3-Pete Giordano.
Oh, I like that. Good.
3-Pete Giordano, which is amazing. 1,400 families helped in 2022 and recognized. Did you get a different belt every year?
Yeah, I'm running out of space. Good problem.
Good problem to have. Well, that new belt looks amazing. Which belt did you like the best so far?
I think I like last year because it's a replica of Ric Flair's belt from the 80s.
Woo! Ric Flair, baby. That boy is one of a kind. But welcome to the podcast, brother. Appreciate you jumping on with me. How you doing today?
I couldn't be any better. You know, it was an amazing convention. And I mean, what better time to be alive and be at FFL, right?
No doubt about it. I mean, the generosity pouring out from stage. I mean, the bonuses. I mean, again, very well deserved the recognition you received. Your platform with Americo, you're #1 with a lot of carriers. Makes sense to me. So, man, what goes into your process? And, you know, people have heard, you know, about your work ethic, but it's work ethic and mindset, right? It's work ethic and determination. So what goes into your mindset and your determination to do what you do on a day-to-day basis? It's well documented last year wasn't your easiest year, you know, mentally, as far as the stuff you dealt with from a family standpoint, some of the losses you took. You also had a newborn last year, a new baby born last year. So, I mean, like some highs, you bought a new house. It's crazy because newborn babies, new house, you know, new jobs or new roles, those are like very high moments, but they're also very exhausting moments. And then, you know, losing family members are very low moments and also exhausting. So you had a lot of high highs, some low lows, all very energy draining, and you still were the #1 agent in the country. Talk to us about your determination and your mindset.
You know, I think you have a mindset of challenges and how do you overcome challenges, and you almost like challenges at that point, if that makes sense. Like if I actually go back and think of my last, you know, let's call it 10 years of my life, it's been an evolution, a lot of change, and really it's made me better because it's helped me understand that you don't get too low, you don't get too high, and every high and low actually keeps you closer to being in the middle.
I like
and I'm
that.
an emotional type of a personality, so that's good for me. I need that because if not, I would be on the roller coaster.
Right.
And it just becomes, you know, like me and Margo, I say it all the time. I'm like, you know, what's the next thing they're gonna throw at us? What we got to do? You know, like it's, you know, it's Tuesday. What's the next thing? And then you just deal with it. But you know, we're blessed. It's an amazing journey, but I think those challenges help you. And the other thing I'd say from a business perspective last year and kind of overcoming challenges was you really have to start working things differently. You know, so from a personal production perspective, hey, lead flow is not what it once was, and it changed. And then how do you evolve into like working your book of business more? How do you look at using things like ethos? So you start thinking outside the box, you know, utilizing technology, stuff like that. And I like the thinking man's game of this. that challenge every day is honestly probably what drives me.
Yeah.
Because if it was simple and easy, you might not excel at it. You know, like it would just be like, oh, like it's just another day. But every day is like a brand new challenge. Hell, every hour is a brand new challenge.
Huh. That's saying it lightly.
Right?
I do understand that. I was talking to Robin today. I was like, yo, it just feels like I keep getting crushed like a grape, but it's just time. You know, it's like time is so jam-packed. It's this to this to this to this to this to this to that. You know, and it's like, all right, let's try to manage it a little more effectively because it's always going to be busy. So I love what you said about that. So challenges, you know, when you think about now, let's put your words inside the mindset of a new agent. New agents trying to go out and help 30, 40 families a month. You know, how should they view challenge? How should they view the grind? What might be difficult for you at 100 families a month is difficult for someone else at 35, 40 families a month. How should they view approaching those challenges or those obstacles or those hurdles?
For me, you got to get things really, really simple for yourself. And I think it really starts with the way that you manage your time. You know, a lot of people really waste a lot of time, particularly new agents. You know, they're not coming into this maybe necessarily where they're very organized in their time management and how they utilize stuff. You got to start breaking stuff down for yourself almost to the minute, you know, like to the minute, to the half hour, to the hour, and start having little activities that all day now are mapped out, and that's personal and professional. And now start mapping out day by day, and then it's week by week, and then it's month by month. And now you're able to have the levels of production, success, recruiting, whatever it is. You're able to have that because you really started getting down to the simple root cause. It's like a lot of people will say to me, hey, you know, what's your goal to write this, that, and the other? And whether it's me, a new agent, seasoned agent, it's never been about, the big number. It's always about the smallest number. The smallest numbers add up to the big numbers. But you got to be, as a new agent, really, you know, as intentional about what you do minute by minute, day by day, as you are anything else.
Yeah, that's huge, bro. Micro to macro. And I guess that's eating an elephant one bite at a time. I mean, that's what you're basically saying. And if I look at my career, that's what I did. You know what I mean? I love the way you articulated it. Because if you can take care of the small stuff, you get elevated to the big stuff. Now, so basically, we're talking about discipline, correct? We're talking about the ability to actually be disciplined enough to sit down and write out your schedule, right? And then be disciplined enough to actually work the schedule you wrote out. If people do that, Steve, they're going to be okay. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely, 100%. And that's the biggest problem. How many people, you know, today, it's the day after convention, right? We're on this high. Like there couldn't be a more fitting day than today. You come off of this major high and you're flying high like a kite. I'm so motivated. And then you get on the phone. Maybe you got on the phone at 8, hopefully. And then bang, you get kicked in the face. And it's like, what happened? What happened to all the motivation that I took from the convention, right? And it's then how you get back into that groove. Like I did a post this morning. I'm like, the convention meant nothing if you're not dialing right now. Like,
that's huge.
You have to get back into that, and you got to love the grind. And nobody really loves it, but you got to learn to love it. You learn to love it, you will learn to love the success.
You know, that's what Alex Rodriguez was saying. He was saying you got to love the process. You're going to fall in love with the process. And I mean, obsessed people fall in love with the process because you can't fall in love with the result. That's just not how it works. The result will let you down over and over and over again. And again, but the process will not let you down. The process is where the cooking is made. So when you think about now where you are, three-peat Giordano, it's 2023. You have new goals aligned for yourself. You've thought about this quite a bit. What does this look like for you, 2023, and health and wealth? Steve Giordano, your team, your goals. What are you thinking about?
Yeah, to me, agency Hall of Fame from if we're looking at a big number goal, and really, if it's 1,200 families as a group, for the year, if I'm saying that right.
12,000.
But agency Hall of Fame, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
For us, because I'd like to be, one of, I think it's 5 people that have been in 1 year, personal Hall of Famer and an agency Hall of Famer.
Nice.
Because the one thing to me that I'm looking for and that eludes me is the massive growth. We grew last year about 30% as a group. Tierra grew about like 77. So we had some good things happen for the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think we made a step. And I think this is the year now that we take the next step and really get to that agency Hall of Fame level. So to me, it's really all about that. And in getting there, it's the next level of leaders. I have a good core of leaders, and they really showed out. And I want to thank them for, everything they did at the convention. We had, great participation. I think we probably had a good, we had 125 registered. We probably had somewhere in that vicinity in attendance. So to me, that was a big step. But that's what it's about, finding the next level of leaders. And on a personal level, it's do enough to lead from the front and to do enough to fund the business, live a good life. But really, I want to be known. Sure, I'll be known as the guy who wrote whatever, but I want to be known as the guy who built a big team and helped a lot of his agents find their success.
No doubt. I'm finding myself reminiscing right now from our last year's podcast, and somehow you make it to the top of the year every year, relevancy-wise, because you always have a stellar year prior. But I find myself reminiscing on a question that I'm about to ask you again. And I think you know what it is. How do you ramp down the spirit of competitiveness, or the spirit of satisfaction, or the spirit of excellence in production? Because it comes so, I don't want to use the word easy, but it comes so natural to you. In order to increase the level of your business production, how does that work? How does that really work? So now we're going in the mindset. Now we're going into the head of a machine producer. How does that work, Mr. Steve?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think when it comes to challenges, that is probably the biggest challenge. And when I look at things, I'm like, okay, how do I evolve? How do I change? You don't want to turn it off, obviously, altogether. You want to have it on. But the one thing I would say, I was talking a little bit before with you about like ethos and stuff like that. It's trying to still have a good level of production, but then obviously more time in the team and stuff like that. To me, it's kind of looking at the schedule and actually, instead of maybe the 4-day run, you're kind of packing a lot into the 3-day run. And obviously with things like telesales and ethos and whatever in the mix, you can honestly get a lot done and probably have not the same production, but in the ballpark, but still be able to be more, let's say I'm in the office more, at the house more, where you can sell a decent amount that way while you're also home to be able to help your team recruit. So yeah, I think for sure that is the biggest challenge. But again, it's like anything else. When somebody comes here and they say, I want to do X as a goal, and I'm an example of this as well. You have to figure out what you're going to give up. And if the goal is truly to be Agency Hall of Fame, I have to sacrifice what it's going to be to be one, or whatever it is, whatever that number is. Good question.
The rubber meets the road in that question. And the
100%.
follow-up question is, can you do it?
I think so. I think I could do it. I think in my head, the one thing I'll always believe is anybody can do anything they want.
Right.
I really believe that. And I think in the last, God, 4 years now, I think being able to do what I've been able to do, it proves to myself that, yeah, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard as hell. It's going to be a hard road, but you legit financially and business wise can do whatever you set your mind to do here. You just got to really give up some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it, dude. I know you really well. So that's why I'm asking the way I'm asking. But now the audience is getting to know you really well based on how I'm asking and how you're answering. So that's great, man. Yeah, I think it'll be a challenge for you, but I think it's a good challenge. You know, I think that I've been through that challenge. I remember sitting in my car just knowing like I'm way past my time. Like the business just said, boo, 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 boo. And I'm like, I can't even manage like all the calls I'm getting. And I called Sean up and I go, dude, how did you get out of the field? Like, how did you do it? And he talked about the wean off process, you know? And for you, it's not how do you get out of the field. It's how do you take maybe an extra 15 hours and put it into the business building machine that you have, right? And it's like, that's really all it is. Now, what is that worth? You know, what are those 15 hours a week worth? You know, and that's 60 hours a month when you start looking at it. And that's where that challenge comes into play. And that's what you'll be faced with as you go throughout the year. But with the goals that you have now with your team, what is the roadmap that you have as far as recruiting, as far as pouring in, as far as traveling? What is the roadmap that you have currently setting forth fresh out of convention to get the momentum rolling for Health and Wealth?
Yeah, so from a recruiting perspective, you know, towards the latter part of last year, really turn the guests on the social media piece and the mass messaging and messaging people and connecting with people and relationship building. So myself and a company that I'm using, we're kind of working that social media game. Obviously a lot of content, which is very interesting because you know as well as I do, it's like another job now, right? Like you sell insurance, you recruit, and you're like a movie star, like all in one. Like, cause you're doing all this stuff. And a lot of it can be a little uncomfortable, but it works because now you start getting this like this face and this brand and this whole thing. And I think a lot of people here have done a good job of it where you're creating this, you know, this brand for yourself, and then people are attracted to the brand. And now you start messaging and dripping and connecting. Like I had a guy at convention from Instagram I recruited, a month ago, and he just starts watching my stuff. And lo and behold, he's a Dolphin fan. He lives in Colorado. And, next thing I know, I told him I get on the call with him and I said, hey man, if you're serious, you're going to get to convention, right? And he's like, absolutely. And then boom, he's there at convention with me.
Nice.
And, going through stuff and ready to rock and roll. So I think it's utilizing that. Like I'm using, like I said, a company to do it and kind of like preaching that to the downline. And then the other thing would be the warm market blitz, similar kind of like you're looking at it, like trying to go around to people that are writing and say, hey, what are 25 names of like-minded people that you have that we can connect with to see if they would be a good fit? And then we'll be the ones that kind of do all the back end work as far as, contracting and stuff like that.
Nice.
So I think those two things for me to keep it really super simple is the social media piece and the outreach in the warm market.
Huge.
And I think maybe the mistake I made in the past, and a lot of us did, we have so many hands and so many pots, and there's all the Indeeds and the this and the that and all this cold market, but then it's a relationship business, right? So the warm market relationships, which we're a testament to, and now the relationships you can build with people through social media. And let's face facts, you can build fast relationships that way because it's like they see you and they see you and they see you and then they're talking to you, and it's almost like a constant connection. You know, they see your content and it's like, wow, like cool. I feel like I know that guy and now he's talking to me. So I think that's the way I'm trying to go about it, trying to be a little different, trying to do things differently than I've done before. And I think it'll definitely show results.
That's great, dude. You know, that's awesome. I'm excited for you, man. I do believe those two pieces, social media, marketing, and messaging and warm market, I don't think you can grow faster than that. I don't think there's a way to grow better than that. I think, you know, resumes have been widely exposed as busy work, and the meaningful conversations are just going to get you further with people. So I love it. What are some of your big takeaways from convention? Like, what did you learn down there that you're going to be putting into action in 2023?
You know, I thought overall it was a really amazing event. And it's funny when you go back down memory lane and you think about what it was like that first year I was there and how it's just evolved and how it's grown, the baseball stadium and, you know, things like that. You know, for me, I think I really learned about doing a better job of building relationships with people. So I tried every convention. I want to exhaust myself in relationships with people that I don't get to see on my team all the time, and just give them as much as I got. And hell, giving FFL in general and people that I meet, just everything I got. And what I can tell you that I took away was there's a lot of people that are really, really hungry, that are very, very close to getting to whatever their next level is. People on my team, people on other teams. And I think the convention, this one particularly, I think it gave them that extra. I think it gave them that one thing. Like I can remember back, you know, I'll call it the second one I went to. You know, I had figured some stuff out and I was writing, and then I'm like, okay, boom, that one clicked to take it to another level and then another level. I felt a lot of people on our team and a lot of people in general were searching for that, and I think they got that. Just those little extra things from personal production and from recruitment and building a team. Obviously, the generosity that was shown at the convention with the Dream Center and all that stuff. I think that was another thing that a lot of people needed, and how we need to be more giving to help, you know, do things to give back, which are ultimately going to help you as well. But that's what it was for me. You know, just a lot of people looking for that little extra and pushing them to whatever their next level is.
Yeah, it's, you know, just a huge event. I mean, out of the guest speakers, who was your favorite and why?
I mean, I liked A-Rod because I liked the Yankee content, but from an FFL perspective, I thought that was kind of cool. Sean maybe could have got a little bit more controversial with him, but I don't know. He might have got mad and asked some more crazy questions.
Right.
I'm a Dave Anderson guy, honestly. Like I thought the highlight for me would have been the Hall of Fame dinner and that particular speech, because it talked to me particularly, and I think to this company. Number one producer, biggest IMO, complacency, right? How many of us sit there and we're like, oh, we've arrived, right? Like we all do it to some extent, but I thought his speech at that Hall of Fame dinner really put a lot of things into perspective for you haven't arrived. And, you know, Margo said this to me. He ended it with every season comes to an end. So you could be in a great season and it can come to an end and you don't know when it's going to be, and you got to be aware. And you could have a bad season and it can come to an end. And
this
that
too shall pass.
That's there you go.
This too shall pass is what he said. Yep.
This still shall pass, right? And I thought that was huge, and the context of when it was said to the top people, Hall of Fame producers and agency owners. So I thought that was, to me, a highlight, because it was like, hey, guess what? You know, bravo, you're number one. Bravo, you're the number one IMO. But you better not get complacent, because the minute you do, cracks will come in the foundation, and that's where companies kind of win and lose.
Yeah, I mean, that was so powerful. It's almost like he came right for our throat. Like, Like, what's great about it is he knows, like you know, he knows. All that was on memory, bro. There was no notes. There was no, like, he's just literally talking to a high level room and just like, take that, you know? That was just super powerful. That was probably one of my biggest takeaways too, if I'm being really honest, you know? But I don't know if that was recorded anywhere. Like, I'd love to play that back because it was so good.
Gold.
I just don't know if it was recorded anywhere, you know? I'm assuming someone's got it, right? But, man, that was huge. So I appreciate your perspective on that.
If you lose your edge, you know, like if you, like this morning, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, it's Monday. I'm a little tired. We had a crazy week. You know, could I maybe come in at 11 and like live? I could. I think I'd be all right. But here and like in my gut, I'm like, no, because if I do that, it's a poor example and it's just not what it's needed. You know, like we have to fight like we're starving and like we're desperate.
Yeah. And that's real, bro. I mean, that's so real, you know, in life. And I think that's because that room represents everyone who's helped over 400 families up to, I don't know, 200,000 families, you know, as an agency. You know, you got some successful people in there. And for him to like, just, that was not a sugary conversation. I mean, he went for the jugular. And
that's why I love him.
Yeah, he's a beast, bro. He is a beast.
It's funny. I was talking to him backstage and I had called him 3 years ago prior to, I guess it would have been the first time I spoke, whatever it was. And I shot him an email and I'm like, hey man, like I love your stuff. You've been at our conventions. Would you give me, 10 minutes to kind of coach me through doing like my first big speech? And he did graciously.
Wow.
Went and I reminded him about it and he was like, yeah, man, that's awesome. He's like, clearly it's working. I'm like, yeah, bro, it definitely is working.
Wow, that's huge. I didn't know that. I never knew that story. That's awesome, bro. Listen, man, you're poised for another huge year. You've, congratulations, honestly, like from the bottom of my heart on your work ethic, you know, what you've done for you and your family. You know, I've known you a long time, dude. And, you know, to see what the path that you've laid for your kids to see. I mean, this is, for what it's worth. I mean, I'm just not going to downplay it. You know, it's legendary what you've done and what you're doing. And your kids can't really see it, but they'll never not hear about this, ever. And that's as good as it gets, man. You know, your wife is watching. You know, your family's watching. That's the stories that are going to be told. I mean, it's just the beginning. So your legacy is cemented, bro. And I know it's just the beginning. So I know your future holds bigger and badder things, but you can't have a 3-year run like you've had and ever be forgotten. It's not possible, dude. So congratulations to you on all your success. I appreciate you more than you know. I love you like a brother, and I'm happy to be friends. And it's just amazing watching what you're doing, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Well, I appreciate you, and thanks for having me. And, thanks for sharing the opportunity, and believing in your warm market 5 years ago.
Ha. Well, listen, man, you're doing great things. Keep doing it. Keep shedding the light. Big year for health and wealth. Steve Giordano, thank you so much for jumping on, buddy.
Thanks, boss.
God bless, guys. Everybody keep listening. We love you. Take care.